Welcome back, Nick and Lex here. Thank you so much for watching another episode of Music with Nick. Today we got a request and a marathon submitted by Great Scott. Thank you so much for sponsoring the video, for making the video happen. And I'm super excited because we do have some more Rick Wakeman for you guys. For all you Yes fans out there, for all you prog lunatics out there, I'm gonna have a blast because basically this is like part of the it's almost like a full album. And so this is, we're gonna do No Earthly Connection by Rick Wakeman, and this was during his like super crazy days in his 20s. I read some stories that he even like died for, oh my god, or they gave him like 24 hours to live. It's insane, this man, what abuse he took. I mean, like, you know, as in alcohol and drugs, and he's still around and he's quite well, and we still have his genius. So, but yeah, I guess sometimes when you're an artist, you know, you go to crazy lengths to get your music across, I guess. And some people do it in the form of alcohol and drugs, and some don't. But yeah, but I mean, we are lucky that we still have Mr. Wakeman, and that we can listen to his stuff from like 40 years ago, you know, over 40 years ago. So we're gonna do pretty much part 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 of No Earthly Connection. And so yeah, so I'm ready. I'm totally ready to take in this man's genius. And thank you, Great Scott, again for the request. And so yeah, so the first part here of this album, which by the way is 1976. So basically, literally after leaving Yes for the first time, that we have part 1, The Warning, part 2, The Maker, part 3, The Spaceman, part 4, The Realization, and part 5, The Reaper. And that's basically where we're gonna stop, because otherwise we would be doing the full album. I do have to pause a lot because we are doing a full album, and just if it gets blocked or something, at least we have, you know, something to say, like, hey, you know, we stopped and we talked about the music and stuff. So without further ado, let's get into it. Can't wait for the progressive madness, or also the classical goodness that Rick has in his playing. And there's so much to decipher. There's so much to, you know, pay attention to. So I'm always excited when I listen to Yes. I call him like the wizard because of his capes. I think he's a total like genius. And so yeah, I think I added some Jordan Rudess last time to the to do another Rick Wakeman marathon that I did before. That one was, let me just see, it wasn't that long ago that I did the other Rick Wakeman. If you want to watch it, that was for BMAC. That was for BMAC, and it was, those were more random songs from different albums as a solo artist, and that's why I added some Jordan Rudess as a bonus track. But today we're just gonna focus on No Earthly Connection. So here we go with part number 1, The Warning, and let's see. Here we go. We got it set up, and you guys enjoy, and let me know in the comment section what you think. If you're a Yes fan or Rick Wakeman fan, if you want to, you know, check out the channel, there's a lot of stuff here that Alexia and I do in terms of music and reactions. So maybe you want to stick around and subscribe. All right, so here we go. Let's start.
taste the fruitful inhibitions of a human, incapable of future seeing beyond his thoughts of music. Language of the world, the missing sense. Birth of music, birth of child is one. Music, birth of child is language of the world, the missing sense. Music, birth of child is language, birth of child is language, birth of child is language, birth of child is language. Look at the sun, music of blinded light, sound straight destroying sight. Wait, look at the sun, music of blinded light, sound straight destroying sight.
So yeah, I can't really say that it's anything different from Yes, even though on Wikipedia it does say that he wanted to, refrain a little bit from the progressive. I mean, it does still sound very, maybe not as progressive as Yes, but it still sounds pretty much like his style of music. There's a lot of musical parts, classical music. Then it becomes a little bit rock. Really cool. I mean, I do like it. I just wanted to look up literally the vocalist. That's it. And the personnel. So it's Ashley Holt. Ashley Holt. And then Roger Newell on the bass. And then the drums, Tony Fernandez. And then again, I mean, there's so many musicians on here, but I was just reading about the music, and then it says here he retained the progressive rock style in his music. Oh, so he retained. Okay, so okay. Of course, I read it wrong, but so yeah, it definitely sounds prog. And but wow, he was just 26 years old when he recorded this. And then the funniest part, I guess, for me, is that he was eating and got some marmalade on the master recordings, and they had to wash it with soap. 300 feet of music. Yeah, I guess that happens, when you eat in a recording studio where there's still taping used and stuff. Like now, I guess this doesn't happen anymore because it's all digital. But yeah, but I'm loving the music. It's very interesting. I love when he does those really fast, like Chopin parts, or yeah, I can only like envision Chopin being an influence of this legato type playing there. Really cool. But overall, I like the trumpets. I like the style. It's always interesting because it's always so different, but yet very just so full, of music and ideas. Okay, let's continue.
Taste the fruitful inhibitions of the man, beyond his thoughts of music, created and abused by man, unaware of future seeing.
Same track.
Morning man, time for collection. Take for you your choice of senses. Morning man, time for collection, one which has no connection. Feel and touch the music sense. Hear the cycle man should have. Feel and touch the music sense to fight emotion man's defense. Music is a spaceman's time. It's a travel form of moving love. Music is the spaceman's time. Place on earth for men to find.
It's crazy how much distortion is in that bass. Boom, 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 boom. Like it doesn't sound. It sounds like a bass, but it almost sounds like him doing the bass on some keyboard.
Morning man, time for collection. Take for you your choice of senses. Morning man, time for collection, one which has no
So we're now in part 2, just bled over. There it is.
Knowing gift of music showing gift of love to show me the way to the little man, teaching the way for the little man, show the way the music stems from love, music of my soul. Music of my soul, let love guide the way for man to find his music. Love, let music be love to guide man to his soul. Music of my Maker, let me meet my maker. Let me see the man who will offer eternal life. Show me the way to eternal life. Reincarnate music of my soul. Music of my soul.
Okay, the way it's recorded is beautiful because it just like bleeds into the next song, and then we can talk about like the tracks. The first track was more like, yeah, like a progressive like opening, you know, overture. I think a lot of things happening, and this here, the maker, and I love that I could actually pay some attention to the lyrics because it's not so complex. Yeah, this was much more like a ballad. It's the most listened song on the album, at least on Spotify. I'm almost surprised that this doesn't have more plays, but again, then Spotify is not such an old platform. But I mean, I just see some songs that have like hundreds of millions, and this is barely in the 80,000 or 30,000, and then some is 40,000. So the maker has 110,000. That's the most plays on this album. But I mean, like I said, it's not the news platform Spotify. Now we're gonna play Spaceman. I did enjoy the simplicity on this track. There was more acoustic guitars, very nice classical passages, a little bit of, crazy mumbling that you can hear from the people, like very Pink Floydish, that they always have stuff in the background, people walking, voices and stuff. Very cool. So far I'm digging the album. Of course I'm always gonna compare it to Yes, because Yes is such a strong contender when it comes to Rick Wakeman. It's such a strong part of his life. So when somebody goes solo, we're always going to be like, well, that's the kind of like the thing. But I mean, I'm liking the music, of course. He's just so good. I mean, he brings the best to the table, of course, as a solo artist. All the other musicians are very good. You can't say anything against them. But I do miss, I mean, I guess when I hear Rick Wakeman, I guess I miss the other boys. But I mean, let's just separate that here. He's not in Yes anymore at the time in his life. So let's just, we have to come to terms with that. And we're just listening to his solo stuff. So let's continue with the Spaceman. But overall, his playing is just so good. Yeah. The vocalist is just like, I guess it's okay. He's a good vocalist, and there's some, like I said, good playing from everyone, but of course he always is gonna outshine pretty much everyone. But which is, I mean, if you do a live album, a solo album, that's pretty much the point, to be the star, to be the highlight of the record. Okay, so now let's continue with the Spaceman. Also on the shorter side. Let's continue. I'm gonna just play it from the beginning one more time. I mean, there was some water splatter, but let's just listen to it in its complete form.
And on past human life.
That's like literally my favorite like time when he comes into solo with that effect. It's just like the best. Like, and then this like it's like this thing. I know you guys know what it is. To like kind of like wah or like kind of like mess with the notes. He does it so well. It sounds so good. But yeah, his leads are so fantastic. They're so outrageously good, you know. The scales he uses to solo and but overall the whole thing is pretty nice. Also in the first one, The Maker, there was some really Celtic ideas in there. I guess that were deliberately done by him. This one sounds a little bit different. It's like I love the, you know, the syncopated drums, and the bass here is really cool. It has some really nice like ideas. Really cool. Let's go back a little bit.
Lives on past human life. No man can sense the whole. The missing sense of soul. Bound by an unknown factor, fiction in our life. No man can sense it all. The missing sense is soul. Take us to your leader. Leader, the man who rules the mind. Becoming knowledge. As the soul revolves, all our secrets downfold. The mind begins to grow. Self-destructing, live and destroy, and doesn't know. Inbuilt into human form, a symphony of sight and sound, life direction in music found, all left to die unborn. It's too late now to help yourself. Time for the maker to help himself.
So of course it's a concept album. So it's just like very hard to pay attention to the lyrics on the first listen because there's so much going on. But I know that it is. I mean, look, they're even like take us to your leader, the Spaceman. Now it's the Realization. This is the fourth song, but they're still talking about the Maker and this whole trip. I don't really know what's going on because it's like so. I guess I should have read along, but then the thing is, when you read along on the first listen, then you don't really hear the music, and it's really hard. You know, it's really tough. So I apologize if I'm a little bit lost on the lyrics. I'm trying my best to keep up, but I know it's a concept album, and I just like the, you know, the continuity of the songs just bleeding into each other. Really cool. So now we're on part 4, the Realization, and I'm realizing the Realization. It's a crazy how little people listen to this. This is insane. But well, you know, that's why we're here. You know, that's why we have a YouTube channel, to get this music out there. You know, I guess for younger audiences or for you guys that know about, you know, Rick Wakeman. But it's a bit shocking to see that, I mean, a guy like Rick Wakeman, I guess I just expected, you know, more listens, but you know, it is older music, you know, it's older music. It's almost like 50 years old. So yeah, I get it, you know. All right, so let's continue. Whoops. Something on the floor here. Oh, no. What did I do? Okay, continue.
Foolish man with days to live, waste not your time. It's way too late
just read something very, very cool. It said, so Wakeman said he could not explain half of the album and gave the album its title because of the inability to fully explain it. Biographer Dan Wooding believes the album is Wakeman's own personal journey into the unknown. So that makes a little bit of sense. So I guess now I have a little bit more background. Also, I did see that when he was in Miami, Florida in 1975, Wakeman claimed that he saw a UFO in the night sky at his beach house and alerted bassist Roger Newell as a witness. He resisted to inform others at first, as he thought they would merely disbelieve him, despite the incident attracting local news coverage on the following day. So, I mean, see, like, this is something, for example, that my mom also told me, and I totally believed her, that she saw a UFO. I was never like, come on. So because I do believe in, space or just the universe being so vast, it's just the craziest thing to think that we're alone. I mean, now the only thing, of course, everyone is like, well, I won't believe it until I see it, but there's been so many proofs made of unidentified flying objects that they're, I mean, I do believe it. It would be just crazy for the Earth to be the only planet with life. Okay, so this makes a little more sense about the maker, the spaceman, the voyage, to find yourself or meaning and stuff like that. So cool. I like this. I like Wikipedia sometimes does help a lot, especially with an album like this that's very confusing and has lots of stuff, music and lyrics and stuff. So let's continue.
It's too late to find your music soul. It's too late now to help yourself. Time for the maker to help himself. In yonder man, you watch yourself destroy themselves like you. It's way too late to save their lives in time. You're far too old, their souls to find. You've wrecked your head and blown your mind. It's too late to find your music soul. It's too late now to help yourself. Time for the maker to help himself. It's too late to find your music soul.
Okay, so this is a little bit more. I guess, of course, everyone is like, well, I won't believe it until I see it, but there's been so many proofs made of There's of course also a lot of like the music that's being played also is a lot of has to do with the new technology. Like right now, the student do, it was kind of like to throw you off, and I guess it is designed to, you know, to open up your imagination and maybe trip a little, you know. And back in the day with delays and stuff like that, you could kind of like mess around with your recordings and make them more trippy, or, you know, I guess, I mean, I just mean sometimes musical ideas are being used just to get you somewhere, you know, in a certain headspace and be a little bit more perceptive. That's what I think. But and I think he does that just to mess with in a good way, you know, with our heads. I mean, he's a 26-year-old kid, you know, composing all this great music, and I love how the way he sometimes make it sound so epic. It's almost like a musical score, or, and then you suddenly find yourself in the church, and very, very just capable of, you know, taking you places. That's what I like about Rick Wakeman. He's a very for that age, I mean, at 26 years old, I mean, I guess it's not the oldest or the youngest age to compose music, but pretty much, yeah, in your mid-20s, I mean, you're pretty much like, you're already the musicians you're gonna be for the rest of your life. But I don't know, he's just very good, and this whole album is very good. So this is the last one. This is The Reaper. This is a longer song, around 8 minutes, and that would be basically part 1 to 5. Let's see where it ends. Let's see. I'm very intrigued now.
Since his death, the time has come to stop and dwell on ruined time, wasted wars and selfish pride, leaving taste of music wine, searching useless, wasted minds, reaching for the reaper's hand, lead him from suicide. Please, is there a promised land?
The unknown sense lives on past human life. No man can sense the whole. He built into human form a
There's some bits, I guess, from all the other songs and this song, and I don't know. Maybe this is like death, because it's the Reaper. I don't know. I would have to listen to it again. But very cool. This is very trippy. It's very trippy.
He built into human form a symphony of signs and sound, life direction in music. It's too late to find your music soul.
Let me guide your journey along. Leave them wandering on. You will journey back in time, and you will be reborn. From you I shall take your music, place it back on earth. You shall witness long its voice. The music soul rebirth. Did you see the graves today with weeds all overgrown? Wilting plants like man to dust, nowhere life is sown.
There it is. Yeah, so for example, right now at the end, this was a really nice ending, of course, with these effects like doom, 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 forming this really cool chord. And it's another example of like using technology at the time to like, like what um Stanley Kubrick was doing with his movies, using technology to subvert your like what's going on, that's I think what Rick Wakeman was doing always, that's why he's so famous. And I guess guys like Vangelis, I don't know, I can never get the name right, but I just saw a documentary on him, and he was always like looking for new sounds, and he came up with this whole like cyberpunk world sound, like Blade Runner, and he was doing it afterwards. And yesterday I was listening to like an hour of just like background music that was inspired by Blade Runner. So but yeah, this album here, I mean, I think my favorite parts were when he was playing classical piano, just the piano. But I mean, then again, he has so much technology, all the synthesizers, keyboards, delays, choruses, echoes, everything at his disposal. So of course it's gonna be like this overture, like or not overture, like, but the whole like thing as a whole is gonna feel very full of musical ideas. But what I liked about this, though, it never felt like a solo project. I felt that all the musicians were very integrated and felt very part of the whole project. So I mean, yes, of course he's gonna name it Rick Wakeman, but I think everybody had their spot. Everybody shined on the record. The bass player, the drummer, the vocalists, very, very good. So he was never just taking over, because there's like other albums where it's like Yngwie Malmsteen, and it's like basically, yes, there's a bass player, there's a vocalist, but they're all secondary. You don't really pay that much attention because he takes over so much that it's like it's all about him. And I like that in this piece here, it was never just about him. He knows when to kind of take a solo, and there were not many, but it was more like he was doing everything else. He was just like supporting the band and letting the band support his music. It's not just about, oh, I'm Rick Wakeman, I'm gonna just take a solo here for 8 minutes and everybody else can go screw themselves. No, he let everybody breathe and communicate, and it felt the project felt a whole, like a band. It felt like a band. It felt like the Rick Wakeman band. It didn't just feel like Rick Wakeman playing music. So that's what I liked a lot. But yeah, a lot of good stuff, good concept. I do have to like take another look, but I have an idea what it's about. It's about, finding maybe yourself, like this guy was saying, but we can't really know. It's not his words, but, it's the search of, oneself, space, God, death, all that good stuff. So it's very interesting, So I do appreciate this, Great Scott. It was a great album. Thank you so much, and I hope you did enjoy my reaction. I know I get very analytical, but I'm sorry. I can't just sit there and not say anything and say, "Oh, this was amazing. Thank you." Yeah, that would be like I can never do that. Too many reactors do that, and I don't think it's fair. It's not really. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe they don't do it, but there's a lot of people that do it. So yeah. All right. Well, thank you so much, everyone, for watching. I hope you did enjoy. If you have any trivia, of course, there's people that heard this album maybe 100 times. They know exactly what it is about. Give me some guidance in the comments. Let me know what you think. Was I totally wrong? How did you, what do you think about my reaction? Was I, close? Or let me know. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you guys in the next one. Take care.